Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I want to thank Andrea Sonnenberg for joining us for our worship today. And thank you, Cantor. And thanks, everybody, for being here. Those of you who are on our Bel Air campus, in our Katz Family Pavilion this evening, and all of you who are joining us online. We are so honored that you've chosen to be part of the Stephen Wise Temple Shabbat community. Tonight is such a special evening, and it's one that I'm just so grateful to Cantor Emma and to Rabbi Sari, who worked so hard to pull this evening together, along with, you'll see, the help of so many beloved colleagues as we celebrate 50 years of women in the rabbinate. It was on June 3rd, exactly today, 50 years ago, that Rabbi Sally Priesand became the first female rabbi. And I don't want to give it away, but I'm just slightly older than that moment. And I'll tell you, though, as a child, every rabbi I encountered when I was little was male. And it wasn't until I got to be in youth group, I got to be a little bit older, and I started to meet female rabbis, and then I started working for female rabbis, and many of my supervisors and bosses in places like Temple Emmanuel right here in Beverly Hills with Rabbi Laura Geller. I work with Rabbi Janet Martyr, and I had the chance to grow and to be mentored by beloved colleagues. And I can't imagine a rabbinate other than the one that we have today that embraces and supports and lifts up those voices. And the only sadness I have at a moment like this is I think what took us so long, because I think about our glorious tradition, thousands of years, and all of the voices that we didn't get to hear. But tonight we're going to get to hear beautiful compositions by amazing female composers, and we're going to hear from some of our beloved teachers and colleagues. And so I couldn't be more excited and prouder to be able to witness such a moment, and I hope you all feel the exact same way. We're going to continue with our candle lighting, and I'm going to invite, it's very exciting because tomorrow Wolfgang is becoming a bar mitzvah, and I'm going to invite the entire family to come up and light candles. Thea and Mario and Wolfgang, come on up. And those of you joining from home, please light your Shabbat candles right along with us as we bring in the light and the joy and the warmth of Shabbat.
Let us light the shel Shabbat lehadlik shel Shabbat. Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light. Mazel tov, so excited for tomorrow. You've heard Julie Silver, who's an LA-based Jewish female composer, and that was Beth Stiles. This next song comes to us from the Israeli Reform Movement. We're on page 20, a beautiful setting by Kayla Dennis of Psalm 23. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot ladonai. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot ladonai. Ulizamer leshimcho elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, lehagid b'boker chastecha, ve'emunatecha b'leilot. Tzadik katamar yifrach, ke'erez b'levanon yizkeh, shetulim beveit Adonai, ve'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Oid yenuvun b'seifa, d'shenim v'ra'ananim yehiyu, lehagid ki yashor Adonai, tzuri v'lav latavo. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot ladonai. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot ladonai. We'll officially welcome Shabbat with the words of Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת קלה, פני שבת מקבלה. Lecha Dodi, לקראת קלה, פני שבת
בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. Okay, I'm wrong. Gotta stand again. That was just a trick. See if you're paying attention. We're on page 28, the call to worship. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, yai, lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach
le'olam va'ed.
Yai, lai, lai,
Yai, lai, lai, lai.
lai,
Lai, lai, lai, lai. Lai, lai, lai.
Now you can have a seat.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Heather Miller, founder of Keeping It Sacred, and I wanted to share with you this thought tonight. Tomorrow night, on Shavuot, we celebrate that seminal moment in our people's history when Moses heeded God's call to ascend Mount Sinai and bring down to the people the sacred gift of Torah. Tonight, we celebrate Rabbi Sally J. Priesand in her historic ordination as America's first ordained woman rabbi. She also heeded the call to ascend to study at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion and bring down with her the Torah to people of all genders. Rabbi Leah Kroll, with whom I lead services tonight, was the person who brought down Torah to me here at Stephen Wise 30 years ago. She taught me Mishnah in 1992 and continued teaching me through my bat mitzvah, confirmation, and graduation, all of which took place on this campus. I heeded my own calling and now hope to bring the love of Torah to others as well, ever magnifying the love of Torah in the world. And here's the thing, we all have this power, this ability to affirm and include and champion one another's spiritual exploration, wrestling with the big questions of our lives, supporting each other and making meaning in our lives. This is the best gift we can give to one another. So now, as Cantor Lutz chants Debbie Friedman's rendition of the Ahavat Olam, the blessing that celebrates this great gift known as Torah, may we each remember what it felt like when the door of Torah was opened for us, when it became accessible, when we were invited to consider the nexus between our lives and the wisdom of the sages of old, when we were encouraged to interpret its meaning for ourselves. And if you haven't yet had this experience, especially if you've been kept away from Torah because of your age or ability, race, gender, or sexual orientation, I'd like to invite you to let the melody of this beautiful prayer lift your spirit up to the top of this hill here in the Santa Monica Mountains to consider how your life might be enriched by the values, morals, and wisdom of Torah, all the while experiencing the great love of our teachers who helped make this experience a revelation for us. Amen.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, ahavta, amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, hukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofteinu, ufkumeinu nasiach lechutecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olam amin. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Denise Eger from Congregation Kolami in West Hollywood. Sally opened doors. Rabbi Priesand opened the door for hundreds of women who have followed her resolve to serve and lead the Jewish people as rabbis. As you've heard, today is the 50th anniversary of her ordination. It wasn't easy for her. There were many who stood in her way. There were those that tried to prevent her from ever entering the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. They said, "You should be an educator. You're only coming here to find a husband." And there were those, once she was ordained, who stood in her way, who said, "You will never become a senior rabbi." But Sally opened doors and helped hundreds of us walk through. Like Nachshon ben Aminadav, who first went into the waters of the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, Sally was a risk taker with faith and a belief that God called her into the waters of Torah, and that the waters would indeed split, allowing her safe passage towards a promised land, just as the Israelites had done so long ago, led by another prophet, Miriam, who rejoiced in that success. As we sing the words of that rejoicing song still, we thank God for the courage, faith, Torah, and endurance of our teacher, Rabbi Sally J. Priesand, and the strength, her strength, that has lent each of us to envision a world where all can be embraced, where all can walk into the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, with the confidence of a Nachshon. Sally opened doors for you and for me.
כיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Karen Strock, and I am the Melton Director here at Stephen Wise Temple. When we pray for healing, Jewish tradition teaches that we name a person in relationship to their mother. So if I were named for Misha Berach, my Hebrew name would be Harav Chaya Bat Chana. In a traditional Jewish setting, the only time a person is named in relationship to one's mother is when we're sick. Why is this so? Why, when we're in need of healing, do we hearken back to this primary maternal relationship? For some of us, thinking about a relationship with our mothers conjures up warm and fuzzy feelings, and for others, it's a more complicated feeling. Despite how we may feel about our own mothers, what we have in common is that when we emerged from the womb, we didn't care if we had a single mom or two dads. We were totally vulnerable little creatures yearning to feel safe, nurtured, and connected. Using our egalitarian sensibilities, we see the call back to the mother's name here as a symbol, a way to acknowledge that when we are in desperate need of healing, we seek comfort, love, and care. At this very moment, when we feel physically, emotionally, or spiritually broken down, this is when we seek connection the most. When we remember that we're not alone in this world, we are tethered. So tonight, as we move into this Misha Berach prayer, I invite us to think about the ways in which we might personally be in need of some healing of our broken parts. Something physically might hurt, or maybe we have a broken heart or a wounded soul. But we're all in need of some kind of healing. And we are all connected to each other and to the Holy One of Blessing. May we each feel a sense of wholeness as we move through the windy path toward healing. And may we feel the loving embrace of this sacred community as we say the Misha Berach prayer.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Misha Berach Imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
My name is Jessica Jacobs, and I'm a rising fifth-year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, and feel very lucky to have some of my teachers and mentors here tonight. I'd like to share some words with you from Rabbi Jillian Cameron. With Miriam's joy still in our hearts, let us prepare to enter into the silent Amidah. Each Shabbat, the central prayer offers us the opportunity to continue our conversation with our Creator, to open our hearts, to offer gratitude, to be present, If we are able, we stand and we move ourselves into prayer. 1, 2, 3 steps forward, progress built into liturgy. For we can't stay where we are constantly moving, evolving, progress built into life. Tonight, we celebrate the wonder and the miracle of progress, of inclusion, of representation, equality, and courage. We celebrate one rabbi who took 3 giant steps forward 50 years ago, enabling the rest of us to follow her. And we honor those whose footsteps she followed. As we take our 3 small steps in a moment and enter into sacred conversation, let us offer our deepest gratitude for all we have achieved, the ever-expanding diversity of voices added to the Jewish community, the hard-won opportunity to be leaders and shape the present and future of Judaism, new life breathed into our tree of life. And let us seek the courage and strength to take the next 3 giant steps, and the next after those, moving ever closer to a world that reflects our truest values, a world of justice and peace.
We'll invite you now to rise as you are able. We'll begin the Amidah together with Cantor Lutz and our intern Josh Goldberg and Rabbi Jacqueline Cohen. They're going to join us with their beautiful voices. And after they start us off, we'll invite you to take some time for your own reflection. Look at something beautiful, look inside your own heart, pray the words that are in your Siddur, your prayer book, or pray the words that are in your heart.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Adonai Svatai Tiftach Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai
Going off script for a moment to say that there's a ritual phrase we sometimes use or maybe overuse where we say that things are a shehechianu moment, a moment that just seem deserving of a blessing. And so when there's not a specific blessing written for that moment, we say the blessing for sacred moments, for the moments that we feel thankful to be here to celebrate. And wow, 50 years is, I think, like Rabbi Yoshi said, it's amazing, and maybe it took too long to get there. And so I'm going to invite us, again, off script. I don't even know what page it is in the Siddur. If you're at home, I can't help you. But hopefully you can join with me. I'm not going to try to sing it. I'll leave that to our beautiful cantorevals. No, I'm not singing it. I know, no. But I'll invite you to join me in saying, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who has given us our lives, who has especially right now sustained those lives, and who has enabled us to be together on this beautiful mountain celebrating this beautiful moment. When I begin any learning process with adult learners in particular, I often begin with a text that I first learned from my beloved colleague, Rabbi Lisa Grushko. Among the various bon mots offered by our sage Hillel, he reminds us, Ein habaishan lomed, one who is timid cannot learn. As a teacher, I bring it because I want to suggest to our learners that no question is too small or too obvious. There is no question you should be embarrassed to ask in a classroom or a conversation or a learning setting. And I also take it more and more as a reminder of right-sizing, of being willing to take up the right amount of space in a group or a classroom. Tonight, though, I am thinking about tenacity. Ein habaishan lomed. Sally Priesand decided as a teen that she wanted to be a rabbi, despite not having a single role model who looked or sounded anything like her. Ein habaishan lomed. Sally applied and was accepted to Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, despite, as Rabbi Eger reminded us, some, let's call it uncertainty on the part of college officials as to whether or not there was a place for women in the rabbinate. Ein habaishan lomed. On June 3rd, 1972, Sally Priesand walked onto the bima at Plum Street Temple in Cincinnati, Ohio, and became a rabbi. Ein habaishan lomed. I cannot imagine the tenacity it took to be the only one, the only woman in class after class, ceremony after ceremony, bima after bima. Now this part of the room knows this, but I will let the rest of you in on a secret, which is that at every rabbinic convention, we participate in what we call our roll call. Beginning with the earliest class in attendance, we invite members of each class to rise as their class year is called. And as you might imagine, there is a steady stream of older men rising, celebrating their many years of service to the Jewish people. But as the numbers start to reach the 70s, there's a change in the air. There is a sense right there that something momentous is about to happen. And then it does. Each and every time the year 1972 is called, the room erupts in cheering and a standing ovation as Rabbi Priesand rises and stands still the only. The Hebrew word for honor is kavod, but it's also from the same root as the word for heaviness. Rabbi Priesand has talked about it, and when she stands up, you see that she carries with her the weight and the constraints of being the first, but she also carries this incredible honor and also the knowledge of this legacy that she has created. I stand here tonight with colleagues from around Los Angeles and some, I think, from around the country, because Rabbi Sally Priesand was not baishanit. She was not timid. I am here because she asked, she learned, and she fought. I am here because Rabbi Priesand was, in the words of Vice President Kamala Harris's mother, the first, but not the last. In Rabbi Priesand's own words and in the title of a book coming out just next week written about her called Sally Opened Doors, she said, "I did open doors, but I also held the doors open for those who came after me." Our tradition, as we've heard, is one of walking through the doors opened before you, of standing on the shoulders of those who came before. In the very same section of the Mishnah in which Rabbi Hillel offers that lesson for learning, we begin by tracing a continuous legacy. Moses, it says, received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua, Joshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the men of the great assembly. It seems like perhaps they forgot someone. Last night, almost 200 members of the Women's Rabbinic Network, the official organization for female-identifying Reform rabbis, gathered on Zoom to toast Rabbi Sally Priesand and these 50 years. I had the honor last night of offering an introduction to the video we're about to share, and this is what I offered. I said, Mishnah Avot, Pirkei Avot, starts with Shalshelet HaKabbalah, the chain of tradition, a list of men through whom Torah and Jewish wisdom was handed down. Well, here on that screen and here on this screen soon will be our own Mishnah, our own Talmud, our own Shalshelet HaKabbalah, beginning with Rabbi Priesand and taught now through and by generations of female rabbis. Thank you, Rabbi Priesand. Because of you, I am today. Because of you, we are today.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, I am a rabbi. Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, I have the privilege of standing before the ark, hands outstretched, to extend the Shalshelet HaKabbalah and bless those who have been called to serve God and the Jewish people as HUC ordained rabbis and cantors. Thank you, Sally.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, I know to open doors for those who follow me. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Sally, for your courage, integrity, wisdom, generosity, and most of all for your friendship. I love you.
Because of Sally Priesand, I never questioned whether I could become a rabbi. I had female rabbinic role models throughout my life. I had women identifying clergy officiating at every life cycle event in my life, from my baby naming to my bat mitzvah to my wedding to the baby namings of my children. And I am so grateful. Thank you.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, children across North America are surprised to find out that men can be rabbis too.
I could decide in 1975 as a teenager that I wanted to become a rabbi.
Thank you, Sally, for your friendship, for your kindness, for your Torah, and for your inspiration.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, the sky is the limit for me and for any person anywhere in religious life.
Sally, whatever it is that was inside of you when you were a teenager that said, I won't take no for an answer, that thing in your neshama that said, I'm going to do this, and in doing so, you opened a holy door for so many of us. That thing, that passion, for that, I thank you. We all thank you.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, I cry every single time I've attended the WRN roll call and heard 1972 called out, because I can't imagine all that you fought for so that I didn't have to.
Thank you, Rabbi Priesand, for your humor, your wisdom, and your forthrightness. You are a blessing to me and to the Jewish people.
Thank you, Rabbi Sally Priesand, for changing our Jewish world for good. You are a blessing to all of us. We love you.
Rabbi Sally Priesand inspired me to imagine new possibilities and pursue them for myself, the Jewish people, and the world.
Because of Sally Priesand, I could take a risk and I could imagine myself as a rabbi. Because of Sally Priesand, I discovered my voice, my faith, and my skills as a Jewish leader.
Thank you, Rabbi Sally Priesand, for opening the doors to the rabbinate,
making ways for people of all gender identities to take on the mantle of spiritual leadership. Mazel tov on 50 years.
Thank you, Rabbi Priesand, for opening doors for all of us who followed after you, and for being so willing to share your story with the masses so that they can know about your path and all of us who have followed on this sacred journey.
Thanks to Sally, the first rabbi I ever saw as a child looked just like me and inspired me to do this work. So thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally, for your perseverance, your unflappability, your sound advice, and your great sense of humor.
Because of Sally, I was able to imagine and pursue a wonderful career. Thank you, Sally, for opening the doors for the rest of us.
Thank you, Rabbi Priesand, also known as Sally, for your friendship and moral leadership, your skills as a painter and a juggler, and most of all, for your courage in paving a path for all of us women who followed in your rabbinic footsteps. You are the best, not just the first.
Because of Rabbi Sally Priesand, I'm the first female rabbi in Singapore and Southeast Asia.
Thank you, Rabbi Sally Priesand, for becoming the first and welcoming me when I became the first Israeli woman rabbi. Toda rabba.
Thank you, Rabbi Priesand, for being such a wonderful hero, such a wonderful colleague, and such a wonderful friend. Thank you for your courage, and thank you for opening the doors that you've opened for all of us. Mazel tov.
Because of you, Sally, I never doubted that my Torah was any less valid, urgent, or important because of my gender.
Thank you, Rabbi Sally Priesand. Because of you, I was able to imagine my own unique rabbinate.
Because of you, I'm a fun and funny rabbi.
Toda rabba.
On this 50th anniversary of the ordination of our friend and colleague, Rabbi Sally Priesand, I want to express my gratitude for Sally really opening those doors for us and paving the way. If it were not for Sally, I would not be a rabbi. I remember so clearly hearing from my rabbi that she had been ordained and having no idea that women could not be rabbis before her. So with much gratitude and appreciation, Mazel Tov.
Us, not just what is good, but what is best. Guide them in the way our country should go. Help them to be big-hearted and sincere, energetic in goodness, and courteous in their manners. Raise up leaders with the greatest potential of sacred leadership, those who can ease confusion, expose illusion, and heal delusion. Help our leaders to be quick to admit failure, but ready to rebound in persistent resilience. Encourage them to choose wisely, and when they don't know what to do, help them keep their eyes on you, O God. Let them take a firm stand on issues that truly matter, regardless of the consequences or approval ratings. Make them leaders filled with conviction, not corruption. Make us a great nation, yes, but more than that, make us good, with a heartbeat that wants every person of every creed and color to know that they belong. Help us make wise decisions that move our country in the right direction. Teach us what we need to know to make our lives and our nation more meaningful. We pray for our leaders, but we ask you to make us both leaders and followers, leading in the way of chesed and emet, truth and compassion, and followers of your wisdom and guidance.
On page 259. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
A special prayer for Israel by my friend Cantor Marcia Addy. Pray for well-being, O Jerusalem. May all those who love you be at peace.
For you are a light that shines upon the world. Our hearts turn to you to pray for peace. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich.
Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, tidbak leshoni lechiki.
Im lo a'ale et Yerushalayim al rosh simchati. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu
For the Kaddish, we ask people to stand to recognize important moments. So I would like to ask actually my colleagues who are guests here to come forward. I say Kaddish? I meant Kiddush. But the point is it's Kaddish, Kiddush, Kodesh, Kedusha, all means holy. So if you would all come up, and that's actually where I was going along with, because this is indeed a moment of Kadosh, a holy moment. And what I want to capture is what it means to be a Reformed Jew. When Sally Priesand was ordained, our movement finally realized that there is strength in pursuing holiness through change. And that when we moved from Sally Priesand to all the women who were ordained, and then after my ordination year, when we started to recognize LGBTQ rabbis and make them a part of our community, what we recognize that there is holiness in inclusivity and diversity. And what happened to this rabbi, and this is where it gets personal, and this is why it's truly sacred, is that my trajectory, yes, I wanted you to come up too, Rebecca, thank you. That my trajectory, Jessica, Rebecca, whatever. One of these days I'll get one of my words right that I'm gonna say. So what I realized, and this is a good example of that, is that my career changed, that who I was as a rabbi and who I am as a rabbi is different because of the women who brought holiness, who brought Kedusha into my career. That if it were not for these folks and all the women rabbis who have been part of my classes and taught me, and my teachers as well as my students, I would not have been the rabbi that I am today. And so to reflect on the holiness of this moment is to recognize how our movement has been transformed by the presence of rabbis who happen to be women, but who are rabbis first and foremost, and that's important. And as I looked at all the women behind me in the video, I recognized that what was so profound about that moment, about seeing all these women in that video, was that the Reform movement is different, not just this rabbi, but the Reform movement is different, wholly different as a movement because of these women. So we are the recipients of their wisdom, we are the recipients of their inspiration, we're the recipients of their grace, we're the recipients of what they bring in so many ways to make us who we are. So that is worthy of Kiddush, it is worthy of Kadosh, it is worthy of Kiddusha, and eventually we're going to get to the Kaddish, but that's not my part to introduce. So I'd like to ask you to rise as we recite the Kiddush together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Chaim.
And they have indeed brought us Torah. So as we turn to face the Ark and say the Aleinu, we recognize the Torah that has been brought into our lives through the voices and the wisdom of our women colleagues.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol. לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. And be seated.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Michelle Lenke, also a product of Stephen S. Weiss. Many years ago, my first female rabbi here was Rabbi Karen Fox, many, many years ago. I am the rabbi of Yesh Makom LA, as well as the rabbi and chaplain at Providence Cedar Sinai in Tarzana. As this is the first Shabbat of June, the first Shabbat of Pride Month, and the special Shabbat honoring the 50th anniversary of women in the rabbinate, I offer these words written by my colleague and friend, Rabbi Heather Miller. Surprise. Let us now remember those who have gone before us and who have helped make us who we are today. We pause now for moments of memory for those who came before us, the ones who personally stood up and were counted, and who thus made a difference for all of us today. We remember you. Whether by combating an ugly word against another or through the personal act of coming out, whether by challenging the system or by changing it from within, whether by actively sharing your ideas with broad audiences or by quietly affecting individuals one at a time, whether by looking outward to help others understand us or by looking within to help make ours a better community. Through all of these courageous actions and so many more, every time you brought us forward, you opened doors. Even under the pressures of physical pain and torture, of economic devastation or political failure, of social estrangement or worse, you braved it all. Each of you adding in your essence your talented endeavors and elegant movements, your clever words and dignified existence, your dedicated heart and focused mind, your infectious smile and your quirky ways. In all of your persevering spirit, brought others forward behind you and moved us all a little closer to a world that more fully celebrates love. Your contributions are remembered. You are remembered, and your memory is a blessing. At this time, I would invite each of us to think about those whom we are remembering tonight, those who are blessings in our lives, for paving the way and upon whose shoulders we stand. For those of you at home, please feel free to include the names in the chat. At this time, I would like to invite those of you who are currently in Shiva, the first week of mourning, to please rise. And those in Shloshim, the first month, if you would please rise. If you are in the first year of mourning, we invite you to please rise. And now for those who are observing a yahrzeit or for remembering someone who paved the way for you, will you please rise? And finally, I would ask that in support of all of the mourners among us and in memory of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them but us, will you please rise? Page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah m'varach le'olam olmei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Let us say, Amen.
Thank you, everybody. You can be seated. I'm so grateful to my colleagues and my friends, my teachers who are here, and also to all of those wonderful folks who joined us on the video. And thank you so much, Rabbi Sari, for making that possible. Where's Rabbi Sari? And thank you, Roz, for editing that. That's a gift to our entire movement and really to, more broadly, to our world. And I'm sure Sally is enjoying that so much. And I was just remembering with my daughter Isa, who's here, that in 2015 we got to be part of a march that was sponsored by the RAC, and we got to march a Torah all the way from Selma to Washington, D.C., and we did one leg of that march, and we happened to be on that leg with Rabbi Sally, and we got to spend a lot of time with her, which is great. So thank you to all of my colleagues who are here tonight for teaching us. Thank you to our incredible band. We're so grateful to you, and to our crew who worked so hard to make it possible for others to enjoy these services, folks who might be stuck at home because they're under the weather, or folks who are joining us from really all over the world for these services. So I'm grateful to you and to our security team. We are feeling that, I think, now more than ever, how grateful we are to them. So on your way out, please say thank you to members of our crew and Cantor. Thank you for putting such a beautiful service together. And Rabbi Sari, thank you so much. And Rabbi Ron, thank you as well. It's just a delight to be together.
And thank you, Andrea Sonnenberg and Rabbi Fromer, for adding your voices, Fromer Cohen, to adding your beautiful voices to our music. Thank you so much.
We are going to close with a special setting by one of our teachers and one of our friends, Cantor Benji Schiller. So, Cantor, do you want to say anything about that closing song?
Just that we learned so much from our teachers and our friends and our students and our community. So thank you for showing up tonight. It's so nice to see the room full, to know that people are watching from home. And I'll invite you as we close to think about those teachers in your life, those teachers that made you whole, those teachers that allowed you to arrive at the point that you are in your life.
And thank you to our cantorial intern, Josh Goldberg, who's going to help us with our closing
And you,
song.
Rabbi. Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Much wisdom have I learned from my teachers. More have I learned from my friends, from my students, have I learned the most of all. Harbe lamadeti merabotai, umechaverai yoter merabotai, umitamidai, yoter mikulan, yoter mikulan.
Turn it and turn it and turn it, turn it and turn it around. Everything is in it, everything is in it. Turn it and turn it around.
Turn it and turn it and turn it, turn it and turn it around. Everything is in it, everything is in it. Turn it and turn it and turn it around. Much wisdom have I learned from my teachers. More have I learned from my friends, from my students, have I learned the most of all. Harbe lamadeti merabotai, umechaverai yoter merabotai, umitamidai, yoter mikulan, yoter mikulan. Try it with us. Turn it and turn it. You got it. Turn it and turn it and turn it, turn it and turn it around. Everything is in it, everything is in it. Turn it and turn it and turn it around. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.